that Virginia and other states will adopt it to really, when we talk about we want to service, we want to do what's best for students, we have the data supporting it, but the reality in public education in the United States is that we're not doing it. And so I just wanted to share a few things. I wanted to talk about the benefits of dual language immersion. Are you familiar with dual language immersion? I know this is not necessarily a European concept. We teach foreign languages as, you know, a one-way thing. In the United States, we have different. So dual language immersion, I will talk about that. I want to share some common leadership practices in the United States to implement the programs that based on our experiences, and illustrate some key considerations during the planning and implementation of dual language immersion programs. In our particular district, we learned it the hard way. We were kind of counteracting. In America, it's very trendy to have STEAM programs, and elementary schools don't necessarily offer world language programs. And so we had to kind of fight and provide data to convince our leadership to maintain world languages and actually integrate dual language immersion in the curriculum. So for our district, Chesterfield County Public Schools, we are around Richmond, the capital in Virginia, and we're the largest central Virginia school district. So we have about 65 schools, 65,000 students. We have around 42 elementary schools. And impact is something, you know, I'm a German living in the United States, and I'm always fascinated with acronyms. So impact, our district embraces that. So influence, inspiring change in the remade landscape of education. We call it mastery, getting better at the things that really matter. Purpose, working in the service of something bigger than ourselves. Autonomy, honoring voice and choice in our learning experiences. Clarity, reflecting an impact at the self-student and organizational levels, and timing, optimizing the outcomes through mindful timing of efforts. So when we're introducing a program in such a large district, it really takes, we have to have a clear expectations and learning outcome in mind, right? This is what we want to accomplish. And dual language immersion, for those who are not so familiar with it, it is really that you teach like math and science and social studies in a different language, whether it's Spanish, French, Chinese, Mandarin, and half the day is instructed in English. I mean, some programs vary in states like Florida and Texas. We have a lot of Hispanic-speaking children, heritage speakers, so they do 80-20. We call it that the majority of the day is taught in Spanish and 20% in English, and then it gradually changes. In second to third and fifth grade, more English is introduced. And the benefits of it, and like I said, we have decades of research supporting it. Virginia Collier, Wayne Thomas, is that it is not, it is an additive, it's an enrichment rather than our English learner intervention programs, where children always have that feeling they're not good enough. You know, that we force our English on our children that represent so many languages in our district to learn. We represent 126 languages. Jordan, I know in Utah, we have the same diverse student population. And out of our English language learners, 80% are Hispanic speaking. So we have a multitude of different students in the classroom. And then we go back to what is really best for our students, right? How can we improve? And we know the research says it's not just that they develop biliteracy in another language. They have stronger math scores. They have stronger reading scores. And I have to think about Kakuna. I'm looking at the reading scores. I'm just mesmerized what you shared with your dogs. But dual language immersion is the same. You know, you teach kids in different languages and still it impacts other content areas. And I find that as an educator, I find that fascinating. So really quick, there are actually the traditional models. We have 3 pillars. It used to be high academic achievement, biliteracy, and bilingualism. But researchers and colleagues have added over the years, and we talk about increased social intercultural competence. We talk about social justice, inclusion, because our most marginalized students are really thriving, right? It balances out the field. It is fascinating when you come into a classroom. Usually kindergarten, first grade, you have a lot of heritage-speaking kids, different languages, and they're mixed with their English-speaking peers. And usually these kids are very timid and quiet. But if you come to a dual language immersion school, it's absolutely moving you to the core when you see these kids are participating, right? Because they can show their strengths in their own native language. And like I said, for me, as I'm coming from research, but I am a practitioner, I always think, well, we have the data, decades, 3 decades of strong data, and public education in the United States is just not on board. And so I'm heavily engaged in advocacy in the state of Virginia, trying to encourage school districts to adopt dual language immersion. Like I said, we have 133 public school districts, and out of them now we have 17 that offer dual language immersion program. And I'm really proud to say that my wonderful colleague Juliana Brink, she offers the very first American Sign Language dual immersion program in the United States. Yes, I do have to. We never thought it would be happening because we actually went to China together because we wanted to introduce Chinese immersion. And we came back and she had that brilliant idea, well, I have the population, why don't we do this? And so now she has both. She has Chinese Mandarin and American Sign Language. So I'm digressing. I will move forward. Theoretical framework, I will not spend much time on it. Like I said, in Virginia, we're fortunate enough to have Virginia Colleen Wayne Thomas, Tara Fortune. There's a bulk of research supporting the programs and the benefits, whether it's a one-way or two-way. One-way program means all children learn the second language as a foreign language. Or two-way is that there are like 50% of the student class makeup are heritage speakers. And so there's always a +2 when you have a two-way program. Typically in the United States, that would be a two-way Spanish program. Then these children, since they hear a lot of more Spanish during the class time, not just from the teacher, their language progression is much steeper, much more rapid in their development than in a one-way program where the language input comes just from the teacher, right? Because the other kids don't. So it's a slower progression. The considerations for implementation, there are many. It really takes a village, right? It takes a village. So it doesn't matter. I can't do it by myself. I have to find other people who see the benefits of it, and you have to work with the parents. You have to get the parents on board, which is the least of our problems, believe it or not. Parents are on board. They know we're living in the 21st century, we're a global society. They want their children to learn another language, right? But it is really hard to get the districts on board. In the United States, you have to understand it's very different than Europe. We have school boards. So you can have a district leadership administrative body that can make decisions, but ultimately there's an elected school board who will sanction, will be funded. And it comes down, unfortunately, sadly, to the almighty dollar, and there will be lots of people saying, no, we can't staff this, and so forth. Key considerations are also curriculum development. A perfect example is, since we have American Sign Language and we're trailblazing it, there is no curriculum, right? We're building our teachers working overtime to create the materials, and we're using our math, science, and social study curriculum, but it has to be converted, translated, you know, we have to create visuals. It's very time consuming and costly. Curriculum development. So that is really difficult. We're very fortunate. There are districts who have been doing this for many, many years, like Utah and Delaware in the United States, and we're like Picasso, we steal from everybody. And so we don't have to recreate the wheel. We can use materials from other states and adjust it to our Virginia standards of learning. And but it's still time consuming and costly to develop the materials. Teacher professional development is really essential all around. We learn all the time together. It is learning and teaching, right? We constantly develop and look at new strategies to work with culturally responsive teaching practices. It goes beyond the classroom, really also involving how do we work with parents, our teacher professional development, family engagement, how, you know, it's not just how we teach within the classroom, is how we implement the whole program in the entire school community. Assessment methods, yes, we're very keen in order to make our argument to expand our programs to collect data. And we have, in our particular district, we do the first language proficiency testing at 3rd grade, just to see where we are as a benchmark, because, you know, in younger, when you go kindergarten through 3rd grade, there's such a variance and children develop very differently in their language development. So we felt like 3rd grade is a good entry point. And then we look at the math and reading scores. And all our DLI, we have 4 programs, French, Mandarin, American Sign Language, and Spanish. All our children that are part of the DLI cohort are passing their SOLs, or standard learning exams, that are standardized tests, and they pass math and reading scores, and they outperform their peers in non-DLI programs. Yes, it's like a goosebumps when I talk about it, and it's really frustrating for me when we make our argument and we show the data, and there's still very, very little support. And I will say, well, we say we do what's best for our students, right? Well, I hope it's changing. I hope it's changing. Community engagement practices, I think Dan Tedek mentioned it. It is very important to have a supportive parent community, and that has never been an issue that we struggle with that, because we find our parents are our voices, because they articulate their concerns to our school boards. Again, this is a decision-making entity. And we do so many cultural events at every school, and there's a lot of engagement, because people are happy to share their heritage and their background. So it really, we see in all our DLI schools, our 4 schools, that there's really positive school climate and a great engagement, parent engagement overall in comparison to other schools. And the benefits and challenges, well, the benefits are really clearly, we have a multitude of benefits. It's an inclusive model. We really see children that are usually quiet, sidelined, our marginalized students shine and thrive. The scores are up, academic achievement is up. We have students come to class, right? We don't have a PACUNA, but they still come to class. It's a place they want to be, because they can share, they can be themselves, they can show, this is my identity. Yeah, it's kind of a money in the bank, so I can really relate to a presentation. The challenges are real. Staffing, we have a teacher shortage anyhow in the United States, and I think in Europe as well. And then to find certified teachers in dual language immersion, so they need to be certified in a particular language, but also meet the elementary certification requirements. So in the state of Virginia, we've actually worked with legislators, and we've implemented some change. And so I'm very hopeful that, which makes it easier for foreigners to get certified to teach in the United States. That's been a big hurdle. Curriculum development is an ongoing struggle, simply of the finances involved. If in public education there's no money in the United States, the funding issue. And so we have to really do a lot of persuasive talk to our administrators and leadership, that we have to staff differently. It's not an additional expense, just so if you have natural teacher attrition, so the next teacher you hire in, you make sure you have a bilingual teacher, that kind of stuff. So you have to be creative and resourceful. And I think I'm pretty much at the end. Yeah, perfect. Yes. 1 minute. Yes, I just wanted to say I'm very passionate about this. I do IB programs, AP programs. We have 7 languages in our school district, but dual language immersion has touched me the most, simply because I see the benefits for all students. I really do see that, and we are united. I'm leading our Virginia Dual Language Educator Network, and working with legislators and Washington to advocate that this will be a state-funded program, like in Utah. Utah has it as a state-funded program, because we really feel that our students deserve that. And so I appreciate you coming, for being here for this presentation. If you have any questions.